For this project, we are going to be making a base first. So you're going to take a piece of clay and you are going to roll out your first coil. The most important thing that you want to remember when making a coil is that the coil has to be a consistent thickness all the way around, making sure that your coil is approximately 1/4 inch in diameter. We're going to do that by pressing a medium pressure and extending our fingers outwards. We're going to roll to the right and then roll to the left. We want to make sure that we're rolling the clay 365 degrees all the way around, otherwise you will get flat pieces. If parts of the coil break off, it's not a big deal. Just take that piece and remove it and continue rolling your coil. For this project, I'm going to show you how to make a spiral base. You're going to take that first coil that you've created and just spin it around. You'll continue spinning that base around until you use the entire coil. So now we're going to transfer our base onto our cloth. We're going to make sure that all of those coil pieces are nice and smooth together. We're getting ready to join our first coil on top of our base. So we score, and then we're going to roll our first coil. We're going to add either a little bit of the water, or if you've made your slip, you can add slip. Remember, you're going to score both the base and the bottom of the coil that you're going to join and add that slip. You're going to put your coil all around the outer edge of your base and cut off any extra. Now we'll make sure that those two ends are joined nicely just by smoothing them together. And if you have any pieces that you want to fix at this point, now's the time to do that. Now we're going to get ready to score for our next layer. We're going to roll out our next coil. Remember, the first coil and then the next coil all have to be the same thickness. Otherwise, the top coil, if it's too heavy, it's going to cause your whole structure to collapse. Every coil has to be the exact same thickness. You remember that you are going to score the new coil that's going to be added to your structure so far. You're going to add a little bit of water or slip to the coil that's already attached to the base, and you're going to put that new coil score side down on top of the pre-existing base. You're going to make sure that that goes all the way around. You're going to make sure that you cut off any of the extra and then smooth those two ends together to make one continuous coil. We also want to focus on craftsmanship. We want to make sure that we're blending the layers together so that they're neatly done. We're now going to make a decorative layer in our coil pot. So other than the traditional coil that's just stacked on top of each other, we're going to take a coil and we can make a swirl or a zigzag pattern. Due to the length of the coil that will be needed to make this decoration, you're probably going to have to make it in several pieces. But once again, as always, you're going to score the bottom as well as the base that you're going to put this new coil on top of. Now I have all of the pieces that I need to make it all the way around my base. So I'm going to take a little bit of my slip or water and I'm going to smooth those bottom two layers together. This is what you would do if you want to make sure that you can add water into your vase. You want to make sure that you smooth all of those cracks and fill in any gaps with the extra clay. If there's any holes between your layers, water will just spill right out. I like to make multiple coils all at once. We use materials and tools that we find around us. I found that a plastic fork is a really great scoring tool. If you find that your coil is a little too short, just take the next piece of your next coil and fill the gap. Just make sure that you trim down any of the extra and smooth together so it looks like one consistent coil all the way around. You can even take small pieces and fill in those tiny little areas where the two coils did not match up perfectly. Use a little bit of your slip or your water and smooth everything together. Now this is what our coil pot looks like from the side now. We want to make sure that we are taking extra care to make sure that our coil pot looks as neat as possible. We are going to take a little bit of that slip or water using a paintbrush. We're going to paint away or smooth away any of those score marks that we ended up not needing or may have been too big. In addition to the outside, we also want to clean the inside. We can smooth those coils together and fill in any gaps or erase any of the score marks that we don't want. Now I want to show you how to make a different type of decorative layer. We're going to take a coil and cut it into approximately the same size pieces. Now we're going to slip and score each of those marbles around the top layer of the coil. So even though we scored each of those marbles onto that top layer, we're going to add additional slip around each of those marbles to make sure that they are really stuck. Once again, for added security, we are going to secure those marbles down with a coil that's going to go on top of all of them. Now we're going to add our last coil on top to make sure that everything is once again secured. Because this is our top layer, we want to make sure that it is as smooth as possible. Because there was a little gap there where the coils didn't meet up, I took a small piece of clay and filled that in. So here we are, a finished coil pot with multiple different types of layers and convex shape.